Hello everyone, my name is Trevor and I go by Mr. Trails. The Outer Worlds came out on October 25th of 2019. This is the fantasy sci-fi space RPG we've been asking for from another company for a few years now. The developers put in plenty of hours of story and questing in for the players and made many of the NPCs that are only even in side quests memorable parts of the game. And on release it boasted that testing had already been done on the game, so many of the bugs that had been developed were fixed already. So unsurprisingly, it came as a shock to many people to find out the game could actually be beaten in under 15 minutes. And with the current routing and tricks, it's actually pretty easy to do. You can do it in about 10 or so attempts. Maybe there's some sort of lesson here that speedrunners might be the ones that should be testing games. But how could this be possible? It's not as if there is a game-breaking glitch that makes the game that much faster to complete. In total, there are only about 8 or so glitches or exploits at work in the speedrun, 4 of which you could call deliberate mechanics. To best explain how it is possible, we'll need to examine the main quest line to figure out what ways they intersect to make the game so much faster. So a spoiler warning is going out to those of you who wish to go through the story for yourselves and you somehow found this video. So let us begin. No matter which quest line you end up choosing, the story will begin the same way. You will land on a planet called Terra 2, you head to Edgewater because you need a power regulator for the ship that you will be using during the game. You speak with the town's boss and choose one of 2 power regulars to grab at the geothermal plant, which is where you divert power from one of the 2 generators that have one of the regulators. Whichever one you choose to take, you then have an awkward conversation with the boss of the people that live there. But with the right dialogue, you can take it without them putting up a fight. Once you have it, you return to your ship and Phineas will talk to you once you get into space. He'll tell you need a navigation key for Stellar Bay on the planet Monarch, which you can purchase from Gladys. And Gladys can be found on a little colony ship called the Groundbreaker. On the Groundbreaker is where the 2 storylines can officially diverge. We'll start with the Phineas questline as it's the one you're more likely to complete during your first playthrough. So purchasing the Stellar Bay nav key from Gladys requires about 10,000 bits, which might require some extra questing to do. Once we have that, he'll tell you need to go to the broadcast tower at Devil's Peak Station on Monarch to get the information from the broker about where a special brand of laughing gas is being held. The broker will tell you it is the minister who hangs out in his house all day that's heavily guarded. His house is in Byzantium, and once you gain access to it, you'll break into his room for some information to find out he's actually being held hostage there by the board. He tells you what you need is likely in the ministry and that you can print a key card for it in his old office, which he gives you the key to. When you have the ministry's key card, you will be able to go inside and navigate your way through their secret labs to find the laughing gas canister. You will bring the canister to Phineas and he'll send you to the Hope colony ship so you can pilot the ship to his lab. And once that is done, Phineas gets captured and you will have to rescue him from the maximum security prison that's on its own planet. Once you make your way through the various sections of the prisons and get to him, the game will end. And now for the board's quest line. On the Groundbreaker, you're told you should speak with Udom Bedford, who works for the board, and then you're going to tell him you're turning in Phineas. For you to be able to get an audience with the adjutant though, he needs his official board seal, which Gladys has for sale to you. This is available for a cheaper 8,000 bits, but again will still require additional questing before you have that kind of money. Once you have the seal, you're invited to meet with her in Byzantium. Before she will take you seriously, she'll want you to prove your loyalty to the board. Once you have, she'll tell you to send a tracking signal from Phineas's lab to let her know his location. While they prepare to capture him, you complete a quest or 2 for her. Then she'll tell you she wants you to travel to the Hope and bring it into the orbit of Terra 2. Once done, Phineas was captured, but he started a prison riot on the planet Tartarus and is keeping Sophia hostage. You do basically the same prison break sequence, and once you get to her, the game ends. So with this very brief overview of both of the main quest lines, you may understand already why the game should take longer to complete. However, there is a third ending to the game. It was intended as more of an Easter egg, but it does make the credits roll and makes for the end of your save file. No matter which questline you complete, when you go to pilot the Hope, if you are stupid and do not know what you're doing, you can pilot it into the sun. Naturally, this would be the ending that speedrunners would go for since it skips the entire planet at the end of the game. So what this means is that the fastest way to get to the end of the game is whatever method would get the player to to the Hope the fastest. This is now probably the best time to talk about an intended mechanic which is actually what breaks the speedrunning categories for this game. Many RPGs these days build a mechanic into the game where, if you have the quest item you need for a quest, the quest story will advance to when you would have that item. What this means is you just have to talk to Phineas with the gas canister in your inventory and you will be given the quest for the Hope, which would make this the faster option over the board's quest line because you have prerequisite quests for doing so. So to get access to the gas, you will need the ministry key card to be able to get in the door. So this means that you will need the minister's office key so that you can print one. However, here is where another intended mechanic strikes. Going in reverse chronological order, this is probably what you would consider to be the first bug of the run and probably its only sequence break. The assistant of Sophia is programmed to follow you to this room when you open the door. And if you close the door behind you, he is programmed to open it and wait for you at the entrance to the door. Herein lies the bug. He doesn't check to make sure that you're actually behind the door when he goes to open it. Meaning if you got him to follow you to the door, he actually opens it for you. And this is quite easily done, as he will follow you if you pickpocket him. Being in front of him when you pickpocket him will make sure he is the one that initiates the confrontational dialogue with you. And it takes him a moment to initiate this dialogue because the game wants the dialogue to take place when the NPC is standing. So in that time, you just run to the door and voila. So this means we'll need to make it to this building in the fastest way possible. And it just so happens that this is the same place you go to for your meeting with the adjutant after turning in Phineas to the board. Which just means we need to find out how we can get Udon Bedford's board seal the fastest. So this means we can pay 8,000 bits to get Gladys to give it to us, or we can just lockpick her safe and take it, which is conveniently the first item. I think everyone will know what is faster no matter what game you play. And it also just so happens that there is a convenient blind spot in the room where nobody can see you take it. So with all of that being said, this just means that you need to get to the groundbreaker. And as of this video's recording on January 21st, 2020, there isn't any major glitch or skip that lets us get into space faster. But let's review. So you head to Hawthorne's ship. You find out you need a spare part for it and travel to Edgewater. You speak with Reed so you get his key to the terminal in the plant. You clear through the plant and divert the power away from Edgewater because you can already fast travel there. When you fast travel back to Edgewater, you'll have an awkward conversation with Reed and you'll take the regulator. You'll put the regulator in your ship and go into space, from which you can head to the groundbreaker. You run into Gladys's room, lockpick her safe, and grab the board seal. Run to Udon Bedford, give him the seal so that you can meet with the adjutant. Once you get up to the office's space, you can get this guy to kindly open the door for you so you can print your keycard to the ministry. To get through the ministry, you'll need a disguise, which has two parts to it, one of which is on your ship. The elevator that takes us to the secret laboratories is very slow, so you can use this time to grab the identity cartridge, which is the second part to your disguise. Once you're downstairs, you'll make a beeline for the gas canister, which you can grab once you have inputted certain things into the computer, which will spit the gas into it. Once you leave the ministry, you'll head to your ship and then go speak with Phineas. You'll have a pretty long and awkward conversation with Phineas about how it is you could possibly already have what you need for him without ever speaking to him about it, and then you head to the Hope. Once you're there, you will make your way to the navigations terminal. And if you have significantly less brain cells than your average human being, you can convince your computer to let you pilot the ship, which will send you and anyone else on board crashing into the sun. And that is how it is possible to beat the Outer Worlds in a very quick manner. Again, with just a little bit of practice, you can beat it in less than 15 minutes. With a lot of practice, you can take a stab at the world record time of 10 minutes and 40 seconds. If you want to give it a try for yourself, head to our Discord, the link is in the description. There are a bunch of resources that'll help you to get started. There are a lot of little tricks and nuances that are not discussed in this video because it is not as much of a guide as it is an explanation of how this is possible. If this video was insightful and educational for you, please leave a like. And if you hate everything, dislike this video. This has been Mr. Trails, and I'll catch you next time.